Oh.
And yeah, that was a beautiful sound echoing out in the multiverse. Welcome back. As always, I'm your host, Paul, joined with Angela.
Hi.
Chandler.
Hello.
And Jay.
What's another way of saying hey? Hey, that's another.
Hiya.
Hi.
Howdy doody.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hey.
Hey, y'all.
Hola. Konnichiwa.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey.
Sup?
Hi, girl. Hi. Man, if I did a sup. No, I'm not. I can't be that aggressive.
From the
That's
top,
not-
guys.
Take two.
Ugh.
If only. We're not that professional.
No, I miss you guys though. It's good to be back recording again.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
It's good to be back. I'll definitely be getting back on a regular basis. How are you guys surviving the apocalypse?
Tired. Somebody just yawned on our message board, and that made me start to yawn. I was
Like
fine
somebody typed
until a
the word
second
yawn.
ago.
It's contagious.
Yeah, it is. It means I have empathy towards you, and I care about your actions.
Oh.
But see, if you'd been wearing a mask, we wouldn't have seen you yawn, and we would not have had yawnvid.
Yeah, I don't want to catch a virus through the computer.
It's only a matter of time. It's gonna be like, I don't know. I was gonna make a movie reference and realized I didn't have one.
Oh yeah, I signed up to get tested tomorrow.
For the antibiotic or regular?
Regular.
Okay.
Which one's the
Do
I
they,
have
swab?
to
they have to do
call
the
the-
nose swab thing? Is that what
Yeah.
that is?
So I'm gonna I just wanna see, and
Right.
and I don't know if my insurance will cover the antibody test.
Yeah.
They,
I don't even know if my insurance will cover the COVID test, so I have to call them and see. And
Yeah. Which is just kind of shows one of the many, many problems we have in our country right now.
yeah.
People who can't afford to be tested.
I feel like that should have been more of a wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I was trying to do like the Chandler's foghorn
Mhm.
into the. Keep it modern, keep it cool for the kids.
Keep it fresh, keep it hip.
Yeah. The hippity hap.
Oh man, if you just add some like DJ voice to it. Oh man, kids, we got it going on today.
Oh,
We
boy.
did the
Oh,
COVID
boy.
test. Ha-ha.
COVID.
Only on
That
Graphic
hurt.
Multiverse.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hey.
Tom doesn't like
Perfect
that.
time for a sound effect.
Domino.
Jammin' 94.5.
Man,
We keep the party hard and the barking loud.
somebody's going to the doghouse.
Yes.
Yeah, but tired. I've been rewatching stuff. I've been watching new stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get through the days and whatnot and not be bored. It's good that like I feel like it's good and it's bad at the same time for restrictions to be lifting in Massachusetts, little by little. But like people aren't doing the proper weight things to follow the restrictions. Pardon me. Like people are still meeting up in groups and not wearing masks now that they've been told like they've been given a little leeway.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just nervous about, then we get like another spike,
Right.
surge, all because, somebody want to get their haircut. I haven't had a haircut since January, and it shows.
Beginning of March for me, but like it's getting pretty bad for me with my cow look in the back of my head.
Dude, you probably can't really tell too much in the audio, or if you listen to the podcast. I have like wings. I feel like I could just kind of fly
I
away.
love it.
Anytime it's weird because anytime the wind hits, like there's always you can hear it on the wind. You're like, I'm like a bird, I only fly away. I don't know where my home is. I don't know where my papa is.
Oh. Yes, random acts of furtado. I love it.
I love it.
Oh, new hashtag. Oh, lordy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to say that we're at interesting times would probably be the understatement of the year, the decade.
Yeah, who knew that like our generation would go through two world-turning economic like downfalls as well as a life-threatening disease.
With murder hornets.
Yeah, with murder hornets.
Which,
And
you know
people
what sucks?
obsessing over like gay man that fucking is obsessed with tigers.
Yep. Yeah. I was actually reading a Batman comic where Robin and Deathstroke were in a museum, like they are, fighting, and they're fighting Firefly, who releases murder hornets. And I'm like, oh man, I miss the days where that was when like Nemesis level planning was like in the realm of fiction.
Right.
And just kooky. It was just kooky.
Murder hornets, that would never happen.
Yeah.
Are we living in a comic book?
Right.
Starting to feel like it, but without the superpowers.
I've like known about murder hornets for a while, but like I just thought they were super big, not how like deadly their venom was or anything.
Yeah. Dude, have you seen the video of how a mantis can fuck up a murder hornet?
Yeah, but mantises can fuck up anything, and they're endangered, so like they're outnumbered.
It's still pretty fucking crazy to watch
cool.
it eating its face.
Yeah,
I was like, damn.
Nature is metal.
and like the thorax of the
Nature
murder hornet is still like going back and forth, even though it has only half a head.
Yeah.
But did you watch the video from like way back in the day of this YouTube star Coyote Peterson purposely getting stabbed by one?
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
No.
I've seen that. I think you posted that. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
How do you, how did that work out?
It's not as bad as the Executioner Wasp, but it's like a top.
But
a
it's
top
worse than a bullet
2
ant.
sting.
Oh, bullet ant. I hear those things. It's like getting shot.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they also release a hallucinogen with their venom or toxin, whatever. So like
The
you'll
bullet ant
trip
does?
out when you get stung by a bullet ant.
Holy.
And the thing you have to really be worried about is like getting attacked by them in swarms.
Mm.
Oh, that's it. Game over.
Yeah, because when the dude found the bullet ant in the video, he found a nest, and he had to like get his crew to run away after they got one, and they had to thoroughly check themselves.
God. I'm just imagining, like, when you said, like, kind of finding, like, the nest or, like, the hive, I'm just imagining, like, the queen alien from Queens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the ground starts to rumble and it just, like, comes out.
There was a
The
lot.
queen alien from Queens.
Is that what I said? Hey, you get out of my house! I'm laying eggs here! I meant the queen alien from Aliens.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was thinking, and I was like, "What movie did this happen?"
This
Queen of
comes out of the
Queens.
ground wearing, like, a Yankees cap.
Oh God.
Would they be Yankees or would they be Mets?
Or the Mets, that's true. I don't, yeah.
I don't know New York well enough.
God.
Chandler, you're more of an expert
Yeah.
than us at this point.
I think Mets. I
Okay.
think Manhattan.
Oh,
You need
God,
to know
the
these
alien
things. You're the
from Queens.
local expert.
Dude, I think we just stumbled upon a comedy sitcom.
With the
The, like, alien from Queens.
like,
Like, Glenn lands on Earth, tries to assimilate with the human race, and nobody can tell he's an alien. And it's like 6 legs and like antennae and like, oh hey, what's up, Doug? No one knows.
what are those TV shows like the NBA players' wives and stuff like that? Real Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So like
Mm.
Real Insect Queens.
oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh my God.
So silly.
That would be
I would
amazing.
love
Listen, you
that.
may
So
think
the-
you're
so the-
poisonous, but shut your fucking mouth, because I'll stab you with my
Yeah.
thorax
No.
and repeatedly. I am a
Here's the
wasp, and I
pilot.
got you. I got you on
This would-
numbers.
So the pilot episode would be that it would be like a Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, like documentary, like, oh, we're here, the native, bullets and hive colony, blah blah. So it starts like a normal show, but like then the ants take them hostage, and then that's when it would become like the Real Housewives.
I feel like
You
that
know, it's
should
like,
be
well,
like.
start it
You
off-
are really overthinking this.
I feel like that would
It's
be.
got- it's
I
got
haven't
legs,
talked to
Angel.
anybody in weeks that I don't
Uh,
work with.
You know how every episode starts off with a thing,
Mm-hmm.
like before the intro song or whatever.
Yeah.
It would be them
Oh.
being tied up by the bullet ants, or like being just swarmed by them,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would go right into the intro every time.
Yeah, that would be their cold open. See, Jay's picking up what I'm putting down.
I will ride this pony until it stops, just like Genuine.
Oh God.
Why?
And this is when Chandler and I just leave and create our own podcast.
That was me throwing down my headphones.
Yeah, we're done. We're gonna create our own podcast.
Better than
All right,
Multiverse.
fine. Damn, shots fired.
Better than Multiverse.
We're gonna call ourselves Extended Universe.
Yeah, we're nondescript singular verse.
Polyverse.
Ooh, inclusive.
I feel attacked.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Wow.
guys.
Hasn't this been the show?
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
you.
I've been recording this whole time. This is the episode.
It's just how we do, living our truth and recording it. So yeah, so I mean, you know, apart from all of the endless barrage of all of the terrible, awful things that are happening in the world, a big news story broke this week that I've actually been following for a couple of years now, and it was the release the Snyder Cut movement. Yeah, I think this kind of started up like in early 2018. So for those who don't know, Zack Snyder is an American film director. He did Dawn of the Dead in 2004. That kind of was like his launching pad. Went on to do 2006's 300, the Frank Miller comic book adaptation. Went on to do Watchmen and Man of Steel, and eventually he did the sequel to Man of Steel, which was Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, which was going to lead into an actual Justice League movie. But sadly, due to Snyder's daughter passing away, he had kind of stepped down during post-production, and then Joss Whedon took over for rewrites and reshoots. I think a lot of people knew that wasn't the movie that Snyder wanted to make because it was such a big departure from the DC movies or just movies in general that he had made, it kind of being dark, gritty, and it sounded like DC execs or Warner Brothers executives kind of were trying to make it brighter, funnier, more one-liners, and so there was always it was kind of it was very divisive, and there was always talks that before Snyder left that there was a film, while not completion like for distribution, ready, there was like a draft of it, like a beginning, middle, and end, and there were rumors about it being like a 3-hour cut or a 4-hour cut, and so there was this movement, and like people were like funding this thing, like buying billboard ads at like conventions, release the Snyder Cut, and what also kind of added to this was that Zack Snyder was always kind of like tweeting out pictures from his cut, like scenes that weren't in the movie. And now with HBO MAX, the new HBO app that actually starts on May 27th, they had made this announcement that HBO Max would stream this Snyder version. And apparently it is true that the movie is really damn long because they're going to be releasing it in chapters. So I think what HBO is trying to do is HBO is trying to make this their Mandalorian.
That is not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is way too long.
I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing it, but I'm, well, I have a feeling that the movie was the better version.
Something
and that's
tells
what
you.
scares me.
Well,
That's what scares me. No, because like,
But when you say the movie, what movie? Like the Josh Whedon movie?
Yeah.
Or just okay.
I have a feeling that was the better version, and it freaks me out. Like, because it's like I don't want like 10 fucking episodes of like what is not good. But you know, I don't know. I'm just
That's fair.
I you know me. I'm not into the DC cinematic universe. It's I think it's garbage. And I know Gal Gadot is like a super like fan of this, but you know, her judgment clearly I cannot trust. I don't think America can trust her judgment after the Imagine fiasco. So I'm just like, you
Watch,
know,
that's how it ends. The
Imagine
Justice
Kate.
League hand holding.
I'm just like, well, and you know what's the brilliant thing about this, because I know we are in a global pandemic, and this is like just a travesty what's happening to people out here. And so I'm trying to look at the silver lining, and I do think that there are so many things that people just like were just not putting up with anymore. And I think the failure of the Imagine Gate is like is kind of like a great sign that people are just like, no, like this is stupid. Like no, you guys like are living in your freaking mansions completely untouched by what's happening in the real world, and it shows. And we're sick of your shit, and we're sick of you guys telling us how we should feel and what we should think, because you guys have no bearing in reality. And there's something magical to that, because we're seeing people like, you know, we're talking, what was that movie with the chick from Insecure and Lovebirds, and how like, you know, they just put it out. It was supposed to be released for theaters, and they just like put it on Netflix, and it's like, sweet, you know, like
same with Onward.
and
That was supposed to be in theaters.
Onward is like a great example of that, of people being like, okay, like why? I mean, and you look at like Marvel, who's like pushing back their movie date releases because they really want those box office numbers that they don't really need, because they already have all this money. And it's just like, okay, like they could just put it out, but they're not going to do that. But we're looking at the creators and the artists that are like actually helping people in this time by giving them like entertainment, because that's what they are. They're entertainers, and they're supposed to be entertaining us. That's what we pay them to do. And I think this whole pandemic has kind of knocked them off their high horse a little bit. I don't know if I'm articulating that very well, but yeah. So,
and that's why the Snyder Cut's gonna suck.
no, I'm just thinking that I think though that, you know, like I think people are pushing. I don't know. There's something about it that just I don't, because the movie, Snyder was directing this movie in a very different time. And you know, we knew at that point, well, I knew that the formula that DC was doing with the whole dark gritty thing was just stupid and it wasn't working. But they were stuck to their guns on that, and they were like, well, we're going to do this anyway. And that was the time that Snyder was making this movie. And with, you know, Deadpool was what influenced the change in Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad was supposed to be on the darker, grittier.
Yeah, that and Guardians.
And Guardians was so they were like, oh, we got to make this shit funny, because people aren't responding to the dark, gritty, depressing superhero. They're responding to the funny superhero, with dimension and different character. I don't know. And so yeah, I think that the Snyder run has the Snyder version of this movie has every potential to be just as like abysmal as what came before.
Yeah.
Which was Batman versus Superman.
See, I don't know if people will care. Like, people are going to watch it, though, regardless, because people are starved for new entertainment currently.
Yeah.
Like, as of right now, we're not really going to have, like, fall entertainment for the most part, because everything that would be coming out in the fall, like, would be recorded now, but obviously they can't. So it's going to be interesting what comes out and how entertainment, like movies and everything, shifts in the future. And I don't know if we can separate Marvel from Disney at this point, because it would be Disney's call to release things or not, right?
Yeah.
So
but I mean, yeah, I don't know. But Onward was super successful. So
Onward was super good, yeah. I think Netflix I don't know if it would normally be out now, but Uncut Gems just came out on Netflix today too.
Ooh, I've been trying to see.
I heard good things about it. It was in theaters not too long ago, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I feel like they could do more with animation now. Possibly, I don't know. Like as far as entertainment stuff goes, but who knows? It's weird. As far as the Snyder Cut goes, I don't care about it because I didn't.
When's the Snyder Cut set to come out?
It's actually coming out next year.
Next year, yeah. So by the time it comes out, we'll have
Who cares?
some semblance of normalcy again, and I think that people might just be like,
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't underestimate the movement that has come out of this. You know, like this whole like release the Snyder Cut.
I can appreciate it.
It's big. Like it's part of the reason that it got Warner Brothers' attention to even, because they're giving Zack Snyder $30 million to finish the movie. So because a lot of it was like, because like I said, it wasn't a final cut. You know, I mean, it was completed, but like the visual effects weren't done. There wasn't a score.
Right.
So the fact that like this movement was big enough for Warner Brothers to shell out $30 million for a movie that was technically already made and was already released, you know, I think it's like I said, it's big enough for them to kind of shell out that kind of cash. And for me, you know, I you know, if you ever went back to the other episodes, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Snyder movies either. But I do know that he had a plan, that this was going to be like a 5-movie arc, you know.
It's like a Star Wars thing, kind of.
Yeah.
Where they keep bouncing people around, and then the vision that one has doesn't really get finished.
Well, you know, I think the thing is that sucks and is kind of shady was that because of the backlash that his movies were getting, when his daughter died, that seemed like that was Warner Brothers' opportunity to shift gears on their movies and let's make it bright and fun, and I think to do that to somebody who, you know, I mean, good or bad, whatever. I mean, you know, like Angela was saying, you know, that this is for entertainment value, and like it or not, I mean, Zack Snyder's an artist, and I think for them to kind of do that to him behind his back while taking the time to grieve for his daughter is a little fucked up.
I agree.
So I feel like that they like owe it to like his vision, and Snyder has a big fan base to see the movie that he set out to create, because if his daughter hadn't, you know, it's sad because she killed herself. So if she hadn't, if that, and I'm not trying to place blame on that, obviously, but you know, if that event hadn't happened, I mean, we would be kind of, you know, his version would have been hit in theaters, yeah. So, and also too, you know what kills me the most about the Whedon cut is that fucking mustache, or lack thereof. It is like so, because at the time he was filming Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, they had to do reshoots.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
Yes, so they had to like digitally remove his mustache, and it is freaky, and I don't like it.
It is painfully bad.
And the movie opens with that. I was like, ugh, what is wrong with his face?
It is painfully bad.
I have seen that.
So if...
But I can definitely appreciate though that the movement and behind it, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope that's the thing. I say these things in a very cynical, Debbie Downer way, because at the end of the day, I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong.
Oh yeah, well
but I never am, and that's what upsets me. Well, I hate being right. Yeah. My gut is just like too good. Well, it's I don't know what I'm eating, but my gut is always right. My gut tells me.
Right. And listen, and I've been naysaying these movies too, but at the end of the day, though, I want these movies to be good.
You have a gentler heart than I do, though, because I remember you telling me how good Aquaman was, and then when I sat through that shit, I was just like, by the time this bitch is playing a flute, a pan flute in the boat, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Whatever.
Are you
I
kidding
still
me?
liked it.
Like, what is this garbage? I was so
I
mad.
also liked Aquaman.
Not Thor. No, not Thor Ragnarok is what I'm going to call it, because that's what that
I call it Underwater Reverse Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I didn't like Aquaman, but like I was going into it thinking I wasn't going to like it very much. I had low expectations, but just to back to the movement sort of thing, I think it's really neat that like with the Snyder Cut, whatever, the fact that they're making it because they heard or are listening to the fans for it. And like how they did Sonic the Hedgehog, they pulled the movie and sunk the money to make it look better. I think it's cool that they're listening to the fans.
Yeah, and you know what? It paid off because I mean,
Sonic was great.
Sonic was great, and it's like the highest
I enjoyed it.
highest reviewed, most successful video game movie. So, and I was really happy for them because you know the fact that they took the time and the money, you know,
Right.
to fix Epic because of how strong the response was.
Human teeth.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because you know, when I talk to people about the Marvel movies and the DC movies, you know, and you know, people tell me like, you know, or kind of, or maybe how I was talking about it, I was giving the impression that I wanted to see DC fail, and I don't.
No.
Because I love DC Comics, I love the characters, but more importantly, whether you're Marvel or you're in the DC camp, I feel like the success of a comic book movie or a failure affects all of us.
Mm.
So like if a DC movie crashes, like that's going to affect how other studios are going to finance their movies.
Right.
You know, how they're going to produce them. So I mean, it's not just a Marvel versus DC thing. It's like, I mean, because Hollywood's not going to look at it like that. They're looking at it as a big fucking fat cash cow.
And indie movies,
like-
things like that.
Right, yeah. So if one movie doesn't do well, I mean, yeah. I mean, is it going to hurt Marvel? No, but it might affect how Marvel, you know, moves forward or doesn't move forward, or you know. So I think it's important that their success is our success. Is how I try to look at it.
See,
Because
Well, and it can be. I mean, because you know, I definitely prefer DC characters over Marvel characters. I always have, but that's just my nostalgia screaming. But like we know DC is capable of producing good content because we look at the animated universe, and the animated films are fucking awesome. And like, let's talk about like Harley
God.
Quinn, right? Like, god damn, I love that show.
yeah, Harley
It's
Quinn is
so
really good.
good.
And I
like,
love that Harley Quinn. They actually kind of touched on the Snyder Cut, and that episode with the two fanboys in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool that they acknowledged that.
I think that
So I know it can be done, and I think that's where my frustration is. It's like, I know you guys can do this. Why aren't you doing it?
I think they're trying to make it family orientated so that like everyone can watch it possibly, or like at least have the appeal to multiple generations, and they're not
Well, and I
able to
don't-
fully do that thus far.
I
'Cause
don't think
I haven't seen
that-
the Harley show, but I know that like there's a lot of bleeps for cursing and there's like sexualizations and things like that, right?
Well, yeah, but
It's not even
that's-
bleeped.
That's not. It's
I
not
haven't,
none of
like
it's
I said,
bleeped
I
or
haven't seen it. I
anything.
just know the Facebook.
But I don't
clips.
think it really comes down to like swearing and you know, cursing and crude humor to make something good. That's
No,
not
I
what
don't-
I'm saying.
I'm not saying that it does require that sort of thing. I'm just
Right.
saying that
'Cause the
it's something
things
that they
that
might try
Harley-
and look into more to be like, okay, well, there's no like blood being shed in this fight, but they're all scraped up and like it's like playing Mortal Kombat without blood being turned on. Like they look
The
hurt, but
elements-
they're not bleeding.
One of the elements that I think make Harley Quinn, the show Harley Quinn, like so strong are the feminist elements to it, and the friendship between Harley and Ivy, and they have just they're just more modern like ideas like that are coming forth, and it's easier to relate to.
Right.
It's way more relatable than because like, you know, I think they realize that the main audience for these superhero movies isn't white and male. It's like there's huge demographics across the board
Right.
that are taking in this stuff, and I think a lot of the DC films are still catering to that one demographic that is that and ignoring the rest of us. And and I mean, you get a lot of angry fanboys and stuff out there that were mad that, about the Star Wars movie, because it was like the lead actors it was a black man and a white woman, and they're like, oh, why can't you just let Star Wars be Star Wars, or why can't you just let these things be? Like, why do you got to make like Aquaman like a person of color, and like, and it's like, that's not what it's about. Like that's not what it's about. And it's like they can't quite wrap their head around it just yet. And I feel like something with the Harley Quinn show, it's like there's no question. It's like they understand who their audience is, and
right,
it's fabulous. It's just nice. It's really nice.
I think what the problem with the DC universe is that they're trying to play catch up to Marvel, and they're being influenced by what's working with Marvel instead of trying to create something new that works and trying to build up on it slowly. Yeah. They're just trying to be like, here it is all at once. It's like, cool, I can drink a gallon of milk, but not in an hour.
Right. Yeah, it does kind of feel like the DC was going at a breakneck speed, because it felt like they did Iron Man, then Civil War, then Guardians, and then Avengers. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I would have liked to see more development for individual characters before going in to Justice League, but that's my 2 cents. And Chandler, what's your thoughts on some of this? Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
I just want to add in too that, like, as far as the DC versus Marvel thing goes, like, I think if you're just a comic book fan, it doesn't matter because you want to see them all succeed. But there's also people just being blind fanboys and fangirls to products, and just being like, "Oh, this is the greatest movie that I've ever seen." Like, I remember working the comic book shop after one of the DC movies had come out, like Batman vs Superman or something like that, and I was like, they're like, "Oh, how'd you like it?" I was like, I didn't. They're like, "Oh, you must like Marvel then, huh?" And it's like, yeah. But like,
no,
that's
the
just
fandoms
a bad
are going to
movie.
be toxic. Fandoms are going to be toxic regardless. I mean, you can't. I mean, taking the toxicity out of some of these fandoms is just like,
right.
It's
The fact that people have to separate them, like, I get that they're separate, like, industry, like, companies, but they're just all comics anyway.
Yeah.
Just
There is some concern too about that with this, like with HBO and Warner Brothers kind of re-releasing, or not re-releasing, but releasing Snyder's Cut. That there's some people who are concerned that it's sort of like rewarding toxic fandom. But I don't know how particularly toxic the Snyder Cut movement.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have been doing.
I don't know if there is anything, because I haven't heard anything about it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Chandler, what's your thoughts on some of the of what's going on? Putting you on the spot.
We haven't heard your pretty voice in a while.
Oh, thank you.
It is fun seeing your handsome face there, though.
Actually,
can I see the handsome face?
Can I see my opinion? Sorry. So I agree. Like, I feel like DC's extended universe is just being very kind of like you guys said, trying to catch up to Marvel, and I feel like they're just being very reactionary. So they're kind of like waiting to see what Marvel does first, and they're kind of scrambling to be like, okay, let's like try to match that or beat that, and it kind of like seems very kind of like haphazard and choppy. And I think that my issue with like at least like Batman vs Superman, it was like 3 movies in one, and I just wish that they kind of like took their time and gave it some more breathing room, and kind of like did like what Marvel does and does, like having characters have their own movies or flesh them out more. I also feel like I think they're just trying too hard. I feel like they have a lot of room to do what Marvel doesn't. Like, Marvel right now is trying to go into like TV and like different formats, and DC has been doing that since like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah. So they can kind of like do like a reverse Marvel approach, and like, but they're just kind of like, they kind of take their own time and do their own thing, but they're just, obviously they have to kind of compete, but I don't know. I feel like they have the luxury to kind of take their time.
Right. They do. And I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't incorporate any of the TV shows that they had out at the time that were really successful, like Flash and Green Arrow. I mean, using that as your launch point to segue into the movies, I feel like was
totally.
a missed opportunity because so much work had already been done there that you could just kind of just take that.
Right.
Where you could then there's no reason why you couldn't have like what happened in Metropolis and Man of Steel be referenced in Green Arrow or The Flash,
Right.
And then kind of slowly connect the dots.
Marvel has that problem too, though. I feel like it's just politics that disallow it.
Yeah, well, Marvel I think was doing okay at first, especially with like the ABC shows and the Netflix stuff, because there was a clear like you could point out like, okay, this is happening after the first Avengers.
Right. There are some obvious things, but I'm just saying like they could carry the characters over. Like they could have had Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and all them in Civil War or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and but I mean, who's to say that we won't see them in the future movies? Because as soon as Disney got the rights, I mean, the Netflix shows were canceled.
Right.
So I think what might be happening is that they're letting those contracts
run out.
Yeah,
right.
And then because I feel like in the casting, it's almost perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Vincent D'Onofrio is still going to be. There's rumors that he's going to make appearances as Kingpin in the movie.
There could be no other Kingpin.
There could be no. I agree. Yeah,
Right.
there could be no other.
Well as,
I mean,
it's too good.
Matt
Like you
something
have
as Daredevil.
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox, that's it. Matt Murdock's his character.
He's
But like he's the perfect Daredevil at this point.
So good.
Like the whole Daredevil cast, in my opinion.
We can have Iron Fist like become a burn victim and go through some topographic surgery to become a new actor.
Oh my god.
Or what if he vanished in the snap and when he came back he was a different actor?
Yeah, and just get rid of Colleen Wing altogether.
They could just honestly with him
they could Don Cheadle it too.
They just Don Cheadle it. Nobody talks about it. It's fine.
It's fine.
Although the best episode one of the best episodes of Luke Cage was when it was Iron Fist and Luke Cage just like walking around that like warehouse together, just messing shit up. That was like
Iron Fist and
ideal
Defenders.
Iron Fist. Pardon?
So I liked Iron Fist and Defenders. He was kind of like the annoying tag-along kid. That was like kind of like a cool dynamic, but I don't know. I never saw the show.
He acted like Broody Kid, I think.
The show was rough.
Okay.
The show
really
was
rough.
fucking rough to get through.
That was hard.
Which was a bummer because Daredevil was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Jones. Oh, so good.
So I gotta finish that.
Yeah, so
Jessica Jones faded out for me. I didn't even watch the last season.
Yeah, I didn't either, only because I knew it was canceled and it's like
it was painful.
Yeah,
I was just so mad at the second season.
Yeah.
Oh, with her mom?
Yeah. Like not
I'm sure I
even
didn't
just her
finish.
mom. Like Chandler, have you seen it?
I'm like almost finished with season 2. It was kind of meanders a bit, but
Yeah.
It like Patsy's the villain of that season.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
The
that's
junkie
right.
vigilante.
Junkie
yeah,
vigilante.
and that's right. I forgot. And then they brought in Nuke.
Mm-hmm.
The dude taking the blue pills and the red pills and
like they introduced him in the first season, and then they did him dirty in the second. Yeah. And then like Chandler, do you mind a spoiler?
It's fine. It's been like years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate that Patsy
you had
gets
your time.
rewarded by getting the power that she wants, and like all the other bad shit happens, but like she's still rewarded for being the villain.
Yeah, and it's weird too because her role in the comics, she's a good guy. Like she becomes Hellcat.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we
watching?
I mean,
guys?
unless the arc is, that like the power goes to her head, Jessica Jones kind of has to knock her back down to earth and then rehabilitates. And
well, I haven't watched the third season. I have heard stuff about it, but I don't know if I want to say anything for certainty. I know she's working as a vigilante though.
Like how excited we were for Punisher and how it just like
I
don't know. I liked Punisher too.
I like
it. It starts off slow, but man, those like the
fight scenes
dude,
are
but
really
no,
cool.
oh my god, dude, the last
Slow.
so slow.
Yeah, but how it ends is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like just the gunfights and like how he creates Jigsaw.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, I'm just gonna
yeah.
like when they're fighting
Spoiler away.
when they were fighting in the fucking
Because I fell off completely,
Yeah.
so this is my first time hearing
Well,
it.
there's the second season also.
When I say slow, so slow I fell asleep and watched another show. I just couldn't.
But when they're fighting in the park, and Frank Castle smashes the dude's head into like, the mirrors of like the carousel, and then like when he like fucking rams his face into it again and drags his face through the fucking broken glass, and that's how Jigsaw got created. I was like,
but then when they show him in the second season, he just looks slightly less.
He's still
handsome.
very pretty. Yeah, he's still pretty.
Yeah,
he's just like oh, now I'm hot with scars.
Beauty is never tarnished.
And he's fucking his therapist who has scars too, and he's like grabbing onto the scars and it's like, the pain feels good, doesn't it?
Oh God, ew.
She was.
But that first season though, the first season was pretty rad. I was all for
my
it.
favorite thing in the first season is probably when he sees the guy that the military guy, and he says the 1 batch, 2 batch, nickel and dime thing again, takes the shot, and it's just you see the impression of the bullet right between, like right on his forehead, for where the bulletproof glass was.
Yeah,
cool as fuck.
Well, you know what I love too, and it had such a great opening that when he fucking fights those dudes at the construction site, fucking brutal.
Or even in the second season with the bar fight.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw the start of the second season. The bar fight was great, and that's the thing. I mean, I know it's like disgusting and brutal, but it's fucking Punisher. Like it's what it's supposed to be.
I think the second season ends weak.
Yeah,
but that's me.
Yeah, but I mean. But even that actor too,
John Bernthal.
Yeah, I would love to see him come into the MCU somehow.
Yeah, he was great. I loved him in the second season of Daredevil.
Especially if they introduce Frank Castle to the MCU, like they introduced Frank Castle in the Marvel comics. Because his first appearance was in an issue of Spider-Man.
Right.
And it'd be great if like his MCU intro is like in a
if he's the one that's hunting Spider-Man to catch him for his trial.
Yeah, I mean
that'd be sick.
I mean, yeah, that would be. I mean, it definitely kind of leaves the door open.
Then Matt Murdock's his defense attorney.
Oh, stop!
That'd be such a twist if they just like put them all in the movies, cinematic universe, all the Netflix actors. I would just
fucking. Yeah.
I would. Love that.
They basically just run your head back and put a funnel in your mouth and just like, take it all!
Yes.
And just all of this now!
No, and that's the thing, because what I loved about Spider-Man, was, what I love about Spider-Man, what made me kind of sad about the Netflix, shows were that, Spider-Man street level, despite all of the things that he does with the Avengers and X-Men, he's always a street level dude. So I mean, seeing Spider-Man with Luke Cage and Daredevil, like it happens so often in the comics that like I really, I would love to see like the Tom Holland, like the teenage Peter Parker,
just like
having a team up. Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome. Especially Charlie Cox like puts together like well, no, I guess he just have to put it together because Mysterio outed him at the end of Homecoming, but
and then they had fucking J. Jonah Jameson.
That was probably the best part of like not just Spider-Man Homecoming, but like I mean, there's like Cap picking up the Thor's hammer, and then J.K. Simmons coming back as like J. Jonah Jameson. It's like there can only be one. J.K. Simmons is worthy of like.
You just hear like a few nerds,
and you know how there could only be one because there has only been one.
Right.
Because listen, like even in like the Spider-Man cartoons or the Avengers cartoons, J.K. Simmons was cast to do the voice.
Amazing.
God damn, that's awesome.
So it's like only one person can do it. Yeah. Like it's like if I had to pick top 5 best comic book castings, like who was like, yeah, you can have Charlie Cox in there as like Daredevil, or Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. But for me, number 1, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah, because he is a walking, talking cartoon character. Yeah, and it works. Like it's not like like this didn't transition well from page to screen. No, it's perfect, and it's like if I had a machine like the Page Master or whatever, where I could pull characters out of a book.
He's
if you pulled out, yeah, exactly, it is perfect. It is perfect. So when he came back, I remember I was just, it was beautiful. It was like seeing an old friend. He hadn't seen it in so long. The only thing was I was just kind of sad that he didn't have the crop top. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers.
Yep.
So if they want to do a bald mustache J. Jonah,
point.
yeah, I'm for it. I am here for it. And the fact that they made him like the Marvel Universe's like Alex Jones InfoWars is hilarious. And I'm living for it.
It's the best. It's one of the best things they've done so far. And it has you looking forward to what they're going to do in the future.
Oh, I know. Which is why I'm happy that Sony and Marvel they were able to work out, an extension on, their partnership.
I've heard rumors of a Spider-Man and Venom movie, though.
That would be... I am here for it. I'm actually still kind of surprised how much I liked Venom.
Same.
Right? I would say that when you and I saw it, I was like, why am I liking this?
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
That was pretty fun.
Even with the, everybody's got problems.
Yeah.
Right.
But we got a plot. We got a cast.
He was
We're
basically...
gonna make you feel things.
He was playing his character from The Warrior.
He was playing the character from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys have Disney Plus, if you watch the Eddie Brock episodes, I know I've said it before, but here I go again. Tom Hardy was like, I don't have to invent this. Why reinvent the wheel? He was like, oh, like Spider-Man cost me everything, my apartment, my job, my health, and Tom Hardy was like, that's it.
That's the one.
Yep. I
I was trying to do the right thing. And this is what I get for it.
I actually kind of like that because in the comics and the shows, he was always kind of like a disgraced journalist. So I like that in this iteration, that Eddie Brock was actually like, he was a really, he was a good journalist, that he was respected. Like, I even love the Brock Report. Like, I love the opening credits for the show. Like, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
They definitely wanted to make him more of a hero than a villain or like an anti-hero or anything.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Yeah. So I'm curious to see how Eminem's gonna spit that
Venom.
Now Venom gonna get him. Carnage. He likes bondage. That's it. Where's my paycheck? That's the song.
It's a wonderful song.
Thank you. Well, I will say, though, and I probably said this on the show too, but fuck it, whatever, I'm going to say it again. When a buddy of mine found out that, like, Eminem was going to do the song, I was like, oh, Venom, gonna get him. He's like, yeah, Paul, stay in your lane, bro. And then when the song came out, and it was Venom, gonna get him, he was like, yo, bro, where's your check?
Right.
Like, maybe you know how to rap for movies.
So I got copyright on that.
Yeah.
I had it on our episode 263 when we heard about the Venom movie in the first place.
Yeah.
We didn't know you were a fan, which is very flattering.
It was already, yeah. Technically, I had it on iTunes before Eminem did. You have to listen to 48 minutes of the podcast, though, to get to it.
But it's there.
And it's worth it.
Hell yeah, it is. Ugh.
So, that's what we got in this latest edition of the Graphic Multiverse Quarantined.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the meantime, what have you guys and gals, or gal, been doing to pass the time?
Like I said, I've been binging a lot of stuff and rewatching shows and whatnot. I checked out the Midnight Gospel Hour on Netflix, which was really cool. It's like someone does a casual interview with people that have like different outlooks on life and things like that, and like that are like highly educated on certain subjects. Like they have one dude that was wrongfully convicted of murder but ended up learning like the concept of magic, that is like if you believe in the force highly enough that like things will happen for you, but you can't, like, chaos magic and things like that are highly weird to describe, but like they just have an hour-long discussion of it while the character, while the animation is going, he's a dude that has a robotic body with a fish tank head, just walking through and like doing all these little mission things. And the animation looks very similar to like Adventure Time, and it has an Adult Swim vibe to it because it's all these like trippy colors and whatnot. Another one, they have people talk about the concept of death and like how it originated and how our society accepts it and what we need to do to grieve with things, or and like how they've changed over the years.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool show.
That's cool.
Yeah, I rewatched Girls und Panzer, which is the opposite of that, basically, which is just cute schoolgirls that are riding in tanks in a competition to try and keep their school alive.
Interesting.
That's cute.
Angela and I started watching the new She-Ra show on Netflix.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I like her little Sailor Moon transformation.
Yeah, it's dope.
It's
pretty dope.
I've not seen She-Ra.
It's good.
It's pretty great,
and I'm excited for the He-Man installation that they're gonna do.
Bo's in it. And if you ever watched the original She-Ra, Bo was like this weird guy that had like a halter top with a heart on it. And he was just a really
with
weird.
A mustache.
He had the little like super pencil thin like mustache, and he was just a weird guy. But Bo is in it, and he's like, he's like a black kid, and he's voiced by the kid from
Blackish.
And
like he's kind of just like a fanboy about stuff. Like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm hanging out with princesses. Like he's but he's still. It's like great. Yeah. I love it.
It's really good. It's really good. It kind of reminds me of. I mean, I know I'm into Sailor Moon, but it also kind of reminds me a bit of Steven Universe.
Oh god,
a bit.
Yeah.
Like just in terms of like animation style, but you should check it out. It's really good.
It's super fun. It's super fun, and I've been trying to like consume a lot more like positive, fun things at this time because I need that escapism.
Yeah, we need to watch that Kimmy Schmidt movie, the interactive
one.
one.
Yeah, we gotta watch the interactive Kimmy Schmidt. I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and a lot of TikTok.
RuPaul.
Yeah.
So much TikTok. Yeah. RuPaul.
Have you been watching Chandler?
Not RuPaul, just TikTok.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, RuPaul is like getting me through. I'm living for it, and they did the teaser for the All Stars.
We should do a RuPaul episode.
Oh, we should do a RuPaul episode. Oh my god, they have a season. Like they announced the queens for season 5. I know, but there's like enough people talking about it. But it's just so good.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Well,
Jujubee's coming back.
We can fit RuPaul into graphic multiverse. I mean, first of all, she quotes Spider-Man in almost every episode.
Yeah,
with great power comes great responsibility. They talk about superpowers.
And on All Stars, it's an all-star thing.
So
it's good.
Ergo.
Transitive
property.
Yeah. But yeah, TikTok though is like my favorite place to be. It's so great. And one of the things that I love the most about TikTok was that it basically like came out of like its popularity was always for like high schoolers and like middle schoolers, and then once the quarantine happened, like a bunch of Gen Xers and millennials with like nothing else to do just like just invaded. Like whoa. And it is the greatest thing ever because it's like unlike YouTube that has like a real like production value with a lot of like the popular YouTubers and stuff, and then you get like the whole cesspool that is the comments and stuff. I feel like with TikTok you're with just like normal people in their homes during quarantine. Like there's this one TikToker I follow, she's a Gen Xer that lives in New Orleans, and she just like sits on her deck and like smokes cigarettes and like just like talks about music that she likes. That's it. That's like all she really does. And like embarrasses her kids because she's got like kids that have their own like TikTok accounts and stuff, and she like that's it. That's like all she does. But I follow that. I follow like Henrietta, which is like a chicken, and I watched the whole Henrietta couldn't have babies. It's like this guy in Tennessee with like this chicken Henrietta. She didn't, they didn't have a rooster, so she was started to like brood, and so his neighbor like brought him like eggs that she could like nest on, and they like all hatched, and I followed the whole journey quite closely. But it's just like I like the things that are on TikTok just like make me so happy. They just named all the chickens. Like I am here for it. It is so great. It is so great.
Yeah, it is. I've kind of got sucked up into that.
And we saw there's like this just this like I think he's definitely gender fluid.
Mm-hmm.
They are gender fluid, and so we're watching them, and they were talking about this experience that they had that was like just a really crappy experience working at this like small town like a restaurant, and just like how shitty their manager Mike was when he worked there.
Yeah, that's really
and
good.
Then like all of their fans on TikTok just started slamming the restaurant with terrible reviews and like 1-star reviews, but the things that they said were like amazing, like of how I will never eat here. Mike drop kicked my 98-year-old roundhouse kicked my 98-year-old grandmother in the face, and the fish was cold.
That is so good.
So many things with Mike, like punching children in the face. But it was all targeted at Mike.
It's so good.
And like the food just being like subpar.
I just love what was like. Yeah, was it Mike broke my?
He karate chopped my grandmother's urn off the table, swept up the ashes.
Broke. Yeah, swept it and threw it away.
Yeah, and threw it away in the garbage.
It's hilarious.
It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, just TikTok. It makes me happy. But YouTube, like the big YouTube channel I've been watching has been ContraPoints. I'm like really late to her game. She's been doing this for years. But if people like want to watch like just a transgendered woman talk about like Nazis and cancel culture and just
sign me up.
Crazy shit, like check it out. It's amazing. She is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Her channel is like incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Chandler, how about you? What have you been doing?
I've been on TikTok as well, not as much as Twitter. I've been on Twitter a lot. It's kind of like, it's just really funny because like I made an account like a decade ago, never touched it. Then I just got sucked into it like a couple of months ago.
I'll follow you because I too am on Twitter and never use it.
Nice. But yeah, it's like a lot of like.
Isn't Twitter scary though? Isn't Twitter like really scary and like?
It's really scary. It's like it's a crack house. There's a lot of people who just like they just like talk unfiltered off the top of their head about the most random stuff, and it's just like really funny, unfiltered. Lots of like hate comments, lots of like really funny niche memes. It's great. It's great. It's a boon. Also been catching up on anime, watching Naruto, which I also haven't like touched in a decade, so it was like having like
Naruto.
Yeah, like the quarantine has been great, just kind of like get back in touch with stuff that I kind of put off for so long.
We need to pick back up Castlevania.
Okay.
Yeah, Castlevania, and you know what's on Netflix that I really want to watch? Like I've heard nothing but good. We own Parasite.
Okay.
And really good. But I've heard it's on Netflix, and I want to watch it because I hear it's really good. Avatar: Last Airbender.
Oh my god, you ever watched that? Sorry.
I just
I hear it's
big fan.
I hear it's phenomenal.
It's very good. Uncle Iroh.
It's like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh
all the seasons. Like
it's great. Yes.
It's one of the best animated things
awards.
to have come out.
It like won awards that like it was even nominated for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like yes, you won a JD Power Associates Award.
Yeah.
I'm not as into the series that came after, but Avatar at Last Airbender is very good.
Yeah, Legend of they have a sequel series, Legend of Korra, that came out a couple of years ago. It's also really good.
I'm not as into it.
I watch it for the fight scenes because the animation's like so much better. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
that's a great series.
I want to watch that. 'Cause I've heard so many good things. Like, and people having the reaction that like Chandler did. They're like, I haven't watched Last Airbender. They're like, what?
It's
I got a bitch slap. They're like, I'm sorry, but you deserved it.
Yeah, I'm on my third. This is my third watch through actually. So yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
All right.
It was my second watch
Okay.
through that I just finished. I did it last weekend. I did it Friday to Sunday.
Wait, and how many episodes a season?
20.
Oh, plenty to watch then.
Yeah, 60 episodes.
Interesting.
And they break it down by the elements that he's
Books?
learning to do. So it's water, earth, and fire.
Yep. The lore is just really
I saw
neat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I remember I like before I was like buying stuff online, like I wanted to watch it, and I remember like I think it was at a Best Buy or a Target, but the chronology confused me. Like, oh, this is book 3, episode 1, and it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
What?
that would be confusing.
But yeah, well, I mean, I guess not. If I had stopped to think, well, I guess I should start with book 1, volume 1, but I don't do well with numbers.
That's fair.
That's why people ask me how old I am. I'm 47 or 21. I don't know. Am I 21 or am I 12? We'll never know. Unless we look at my birth certificate and my driver's license.
But that's with your
So
mom.
scary, Yep. Trying to think what else. So, anything else you want to Chandler before I digress into something else? I don't want to cut you off.
Until we wrap
not
it up.
really. I bought a pull-up bar and I can barely do one pull-up. It's really hard.
Oh,
It's very.
I have a pull-up bar too.
I can't.
It's
do
hard.
that.
It's so hard.
Once upon a time, I this is how out of shape I am. Cause remember when? Actually, this is at a Connecticut. I had those army recruiters. Remember that? They were
Yep.
like, I bet you can't do like 10, and I did it.
Yeah.
And it was, you should enlist. I was like, no,
Yeah.
this is not why.
I just think it's really unfair to like ask me to like use my body to lift my own body. It's just like it's not cool.
It's too much.
Well,
Well,
cool.
but I did. So back in Connecticut, like I did it, like no problem. I do 2, and I'm like, I'm having a stroke.
Yep. Out of breath.
Like there's like a new vein that comes out on my fucking forehead, and I'm like, gee, what the fuck is this?
I'm
Why
afraid
is
to
it
do it
pulsating so violently?
because I got the one that like you put in the door frame, and I'm afraid I'm gonna like lift myself and just rip out the entire door frame. I'm terrified. I've gained a lot of weight in this quarantine.
Bro,
Me too.
I'm really
none of my
scared.
clothes fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 240 now, and I'm doing fine. I mean, like, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the most I've ever weighed in my life, and I have like, and it sucks because I have a beer belly and I don't drink.
Yeah.
It is like, what the fuck is this bullshit? You know, like I wear my shirts like top part they're
Flat.
fine, and then below it's like, ooh, no. But you know what the worst part about this whole fucking getting old thing and not taking care of yourself? The other night I was walking Domino, and I felt a sensation I had never felt in my entire fucking life. I'm walking Domino, and I'm walking a little fast because, you know, I was tired, and there were some sketchy people, and I'm like, what is this feeling that I'm, like, feeling in my chest? I wasn't short of breath. I wasn't having a heart attack. It was the realization that I now have little man titties. And I was just like, oh no.
What?
No. This cannot be a thing. Back to the push-ups I go. So I was like
What?
walking. I was like, what the
they were
fuck?
bouncing.
I was like, woo.
No, I'm sorry.
You're like,
Damn,
no,
Paul, you
then
thick.
We're
No,
gonna
I
get
didn't-
divorced.
I didn't know. I didn't notice.
Well, that's right, because afterwards I took I'm not proud of this, but like I took like a needle and just sucked that fat out. Like, I don't care. You know, I was like
Extreme.
in the bathtub with some ice. You were
Oh.
asleep.
You gave yourself a breast reduction.
Lots of crying, but you know, I made it work. So that's what I've been up to for the quarantine. But
All right.
I will say, I wanted one last thing that I've been doing. I'm really excited about, and I owe a lot to Angela. Is that, you know how much I love my action figures and action figure photography. Marvel did a Age of Apocalypse wave,
Ooh.
and I loved Age of Apocalypse, and you know, they were doing like the reimagined, you know, like Wolverine with just the one hand, but where his claws come out of his stump. Love it. And you know, there was like David Bowie, Jean Grey. And she looks like she's got like an Aladdin Sane thing going
Sounds
on.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, And the Build-A-Figure was Sugar Man, which I don't know if you guys know about Sugar Man. He's disgusting. And the figure is great. I'll definitely show it to you guys before you guys leave. But they were so hard to find, and so I like signed up on Target to get like an email, you know, because it looked like they were getting them first. And I was 3 figures away from, you know, completing it. And I really wanted this X-Men figure, and I, you know, me being my old man with my old man titties, I took a nap, and I missed the email, I missed the notification, and I was like, this is bullshit. With everything that's going on in the world, this is probably the worst thing that could have happened to me. And you know, and I said, you know, and Andrew's like, listen, just go to Target, maybe they'll have them. And sure enough, they weren't there. But I talked to the guys, like, hey, listen, according to this app, you guys have them. And it was like a fucking process. Like, they might be in the back. I don't know if we can sell them. I don't know. Like, let me go check. He goes into the back and like brings out like the box of and I see like the figure that I need, and it was just mean. It was like, oh, is this the one you were looking for? And I was like, yeah, that's it. I don't know if I can sell this to you. I don't know if it's street dated or not. And I'm like, you're just being a fucking prick. Like,
right.
Like, come on now. And then like, and it's like, oh no, we'll see. I mean, it might be early. And then so he gives it to this kid to ring it up, and it was funny because he was very, he kind of reminded me of the kid in the video with your. See, I'm getting old with your TikToks and your Facebooks.
Which one?
About Matt being a shitty manager. Like,
oh yeah, that guy.
The kid at the counter. He reminded me of the kid in that video because he was like, Greg, these have been street dated for April 27th. Like, I told you that they should have been out. You didn't want to listen, and here we are. And he was just giving him such attitude, and I was like,
awesome.
well, I'm here for it because I'm benefiting from you guys not putting it out. 'Cause I'm sure it would have been scooped up. So yeah, so I got my Sugar Man wave, I got my X-Men figure, Dark Beast. And it was all because of Angela, because she was like, you should go. And I'm like, it's not going to be there, Angela.
No, everybody listen to me because
about.
I am tuned into the universe, and I'm an awesome manifester. So
she is.
Always listen to me.
Mm-hmm. When in doubt. This is why you should listen to our podcast, which is available on iTunes, also Instagram, Twitter. The 2 links are on our website, which is now back up and running.
Woo!
We are back. COVID can't hold me down. Wear your masks, wash your hands. As always, enjoy your issues. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't recording, son of a bitch.